Lost into story. Horror film short.
The moon hung low in the sky, casting feeble rays of light that barely pierced the thick canopy of the desolate forest. Sara stumbled through the tangled underbrush, her heart pounding like a relentless drumbeat. She had lost her way hours ago, and panic had begun to consume her. The forest was alive with eerie sounds, the rustling of leaves, the hoot of an owl, and the distant cry of a lone wolf. But it was the silence, the absence of life, that chilled Sara's bones. She was utterly alone, a lost soul in this forsaken place. As she pushed forward, a strange feeling washed over her, a sensation that someone or something was watching her every move. She tried to shake it off, attributing it to her own anxiety. But then, the forest seemed to come alive with whispered voices, faint but distinct. "Turn back," they seemed to say, "leave this place." Sara's pace quickened. She needed to find her way out, back to civilization. Her flashlight flickered, its dim beam revealing gnarled tree roots that threatened to trip her with every step. She was running out of time. Suddenly, the whispering grew louder, more insistent. It felt like a chorus of souls from the beyond, crying out in agony. Sara clutched her ears, trying to block out the haunting voices, but they only grew stronger. "Join us," they hissed. "Stay with us." Desperation consumed her. She ran blindly through the forest, trying to escape the relentless voices. The trees seemed to close in around her, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and the ground beneath her feet turned treacherous, almost as if it were actively working against her. In her frantic flight, she stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin. It stood eerily still, like a sentinel guarding the secrets of the forest. With no other options, Sara rushed inside, slamming the rickety door behind her. The voices outside grew muffled, but persisted, an otherworldly choir of torment. As her flashlight scanned the dimly lit cabin, she realized that she was not alone. In the corner of the room, a shadowy figure emerged, a woman, her face obscured by tangled, matted hair. Sara's heart raced as she tried to speak, but no words came out. The woman's hair parted slightly, revealing her hollow eyes. They were cold and empty, devoid of life, and yet they held a malevolent intelligence that sent shivers down Sara's spine. She knew she was trapped. With a sinister smile, the woman approached Sara, her movements slow and deliberate. She reached out with bony fingers, ice cold to the touch, and pressed them against Sara's throat. The room filled with a haunting silence as Sara's life was extinguished, and as the last vestiges of Sara's consciousness slipped away, she joined the chorus of voices, forever bound to the desolate forest, a warning to those who dared to venture into its depths. Note: this story is entirely fictional and contains elements of horror. It does not depict any real events or individuals. The cabin remained shrouded in darkness, its secrets hidden from the world outside. The forest, too, fell into an eerie silence, as if it had absorbed Sara's final moments into its ancient, twisted roots. The woman, once again reduced to a lifeless specter, retreated into the shadows, her presence fading into obscurity. The cabin seemed to exhale, releasing the tension that had gripped it. Outside, the forest held its breath. The whispering voices that had plagued Sara ceased, leaving only the distant sounds of nature to fill the void. The moon continued its slow journey across the night sky, indifferent to the tragedy that had unfolded beneath its gaze. Weeks turned into months, and the cabin remained undisturbed, forgotten by the world. Those who had known Sara wondered about her disappearance, but the forest held its secrets well. To them, she was just another victim of the woods, swallowed by its unforgiving depths. But the forest was not satisfied with one soul. It hungered for more, and so it waited, patiently biding its time until another lost soul would stumble upon its hidden cabin. And when that day came, the haunting voices would rise once more. The shadows would stir, and the forest would claim another victim, forever bound to its dark and twisted heart. As the seasons changed, the forest wore the cloak of an innocent haven, its beauty concealing the malevolence that lurked beneath the surface. And so, the legend of the haunted woods lived on, a chilling warning to all who dared to venture into its depths. Years passed, and the cabin in the heart of the desolate forest remained undisturbed. But the restless spirits within had grown stronger, thirsting for new souls to join their torment. They yearned for company, for the living to share in their eternal suffering. One fateful night, a group of adventurous hikers set out to explore the forbidden woods. They had heard the legends, the whispered tales of the haunted forest, and they were drawn by the allure of the unknown. Their flashlights pierced the darkness as they ventured deeper into the wilderness, unaware of the malevolent force that awaited them. As they ventured further from civilization, the forest closed in around them, and the eerie silence grew more oppressive. Unseen eyes watched their every move, and faint whispers tickled the edges of their consciousness. The group grew uneasy, but their curiosity drove them forward. Eventually, they stumbled upon the long-forgotten cabin. It stood there like a specter of the past, its window shattered, its wooden frame weathered by time. Inside, the air was thick with the weight of despair, and the walls seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. As they cautiously explored the cabin, they felt an otherworldly presence. Whispers filled their ears, begging them to leave, to escape while they still could. But it was too late. The cabin had ensnared them in its web of darkness. The same shadowy figure that had claimed Sara's life emerged from the corner, her matted hair obscuring her face. She moved with an unholy grace, and her hollow eyes locked onto the group. Panic gripped the hikers, but they were paralyzed by an unseen force. The woman's cold fingers touched the first hiker's throat, and his breath caught in his chest. One by one, she moved among them, her touch extinguishing their life force. Their screams echoed through the cabin, blending with the haunting whispers that had plagued the forest for centuries. As the last hiker fell, lifeless and cold, the forest exhaled a sigh of satisfaction. It had claimed new souls to join the chorus of the damned. The cabin, once again, returned to its eerie silence, a silent sentinel in the heart of the desolate woods. The legend of the haunted forest grew stronger, a chilling tale passed down through generations. Those who ventured into the woods never returned, their fates sealed by the malevolent spirits that lurked within. The forest had become a cursed realm, a place where the living and the dead converged in eternal torment, and where the boundaries between this world and the next were forever blurred. Note: this continuation of the story is entirely fictional and meant for entertainment purposes. It does not depict any real events or individuals. Subscribe to the channel for more stories.
Just into story. Horror film short.